Our outlook for Texas employment is for continued growth, but at a much slower pace than we've seen. In 2014, when oil prices were high, we were still in the oil boom, the Texas economy added jobs at a 3.7% rate, which is very fast. Once oil prices fell, that job growth slowed to 1.3% last year and has slowed further to 1.1% this year. Looking ahead, we expect this year Texas employment growth to come in at 0.5 to 1%. So again, slower than what we saw in the first quarter, slower than what we saw in 2015, and substantially slower than what we saw in 2014. In particular, low oil prices continue to inflict damage on both the energy and manufacturing sectors, but this year we're seeing less offsetting growth from the service sector, and that's also contributed to the slowing pace that we're seeing in job growth this year. Oil prices have increased somewhat lately, but are still quite low, and the energy sector continues to contract. In fact, so far this year, that sector has lost 15,000 jobs, and that's after losing 73,000 last year. In Houston, there likely won't be enough job growth in other sectors to offset the declines we're seeing in the energy sector there. The Houston Metro has lost 5,000 jobs so far this year, and that's largely a result of that metro having a large concentration in the energy sector, more so than other metros. Economic growth in Austin and in Dallas continued to boom in 2014 and even through 2015. But now, in 2016 so far, we've seen a deceleration in job growth in those metros. Still growing, unlike Houston that saw declines, but at a much slower pace, and that's largely a result of these spillover effects from the contracting energy sector and slowing in Houston and some other areas, starting to impact the Dallas and Austin metros. Although we're seeing slower growth in the Texas economy, there are certainly some bright spots. Real estate is one. It's very strong despite some weakness in Houston. And also leisure and hospitality is a sector that's been growing very strong, continues to grow in 2016 through the first quarter without any signs of slowing. That's largely because oil prices are low, which means gas prices are low. And that allows people to spend less money at the pump and more money eating out, for example. Also, education and health is another sector that's been really strong. We've added a lot of jobs, and that growth has continued through 2016. Another positive sign for the Texas outlook is the Dallas Fed's Texas Leading Index, which rose in March, reversing a negative trend since October of 2015. What contributed to the rise in March was the higher price of oil and the lower value of the dollar. Despite the weakness that we're seeing in Houston and the energy sector and the slowing that we're seeing in some of the other sectors, we do expect the Texas economy to post positive job growth this year, which I think is a testament to the resiliency of the Texas economy in that in this current environment of low oil prices and some of the weakness and the headwinds that are facing us, we are expecting to post positive job growth, although slower.